another exciting episode of, guys, we still haven't decided what we're going to call this, man. Into the dark waters, deeper than the dark waters, swimming in the dark waters, surfing on the dark waves. What the hell? I don't know. You guys, let's finalize this, ladies and gentlemen. What the hell are we naming this, right? I'm just doing it. Let's come up with a name for real. But I'm back, and I'm here to do a little bit of talking about Dogman. Now, this is for, let me say that again. I'm back, and this is Dogman weekend. I know you guys have been wondering, why he ain't been putting out no Dogman content? Why he ain't saying nothing about Dogman? I want to hear about the Wolfman. Okay, well, now we about to talk about it. I'm here with Carlito Castro, a YouTuber, and he's from the Cryptid and Paranormal Kingdom YouTube channel. I'm going to tell you guys what happened. I'm always on YouTube looking for somebody to promote and help, right? So I'm sitting there scrolling through. I type in Dogman encounters. I'm always scrolling through. I see him talking about Dogman. I say, Wes, give me this guy for the show. I see another person. Wes, give me this guy for the show. Wes, give me this guy for the show. Mainly because when I was a smaller YouTuber, bro, there was no love being shown whatsoever. No love whatsoever. Then I ended up doing Brenton Salwin, and after Brenton Salwin doing Vic Condom, and after Vic Condom doing Dave Schrader, and then boom, it was off to the races. It takes a little bit of help. It might have been Vic first, and then Brenton, and then Dave. One of the ones. It was either Vic first and then Brenton, or Brenton then Vic. Either way it goes, both of those guys are appreciated for even giving the opportunity, even though me and Vic beefed out for a while. It is what it is, Vic. It's over with. I ain't worried about it. But nonetheless, so ever since I went through that, I made a decision that, no, I'm not going to let anybody else go through that. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I bring you Carlito Castro. He's here, and we're going to talk about Dogman. Carlito, what's up, baby? What's happening, man?
What's up, James? How you doing, man? I like that intro, brother. Thank you very much.
No, you're more than welcome, man. I love helping people, and I want to help people achieve their goals and their dreams. Let's get into talking about Dogman, Carlito. So let's talk
Yes,
to me
sir.
about this YouTube channel. How did you get started? And we're going to take this approach, right? In my opinion, there's two ways that people come into this field, right? There's
Right.
people who had an encounter with something. It could be like
Right.
a Dogman, a Bigfoot, a UFO, or alien.
Yep.
And that piques their interest in the paranormal, and then they start finding their way in. And then there's other people who are, they never had an encounter with anything, but then they decide they're going to do some research. They say, okay, let me research, and I'm going to research Dogman. I'm going to research Bigfoot. I've been reading books about aliens, and that brought me into being a podcast on aliens. Which bucket do you fall into? Were you somebody who had an encounter with something that sparked your interest, or was it you just decided you were going to research?
No, I absolutely had encounters. Okay, well, it all started when I was a young kid, right? I'm gonna say maybe 6, 7 years old. What started it all was what was it? Encounters of the Third Kind. You remember that movie with Richard Dreyfuss?
Yep, I remember that movie.
That was an awesome movie, man. And that movie made a big print in my life towards, this, how would you say it? Mysterious and unexplained world. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what got me interested in all that, right? And then so when I was, I'm gonna say after that, that's what I first started with, right? The UFOs, right? I was like, wow, okay. And then I started when I was a teen, I started going to the library and started checking out books, right? Like, Bigfoot books or Loch Ness Monster books, or UFO books, right? So I believed in these things ever since I started, watching them on TV, right? I actually believed, Bigfoot was real. I actually believed UFO was real. All that, right? And which is, cryptids and paranormal. That's, hence the name of my channel, right? Cryptid and Paranormal Kingdom. So, I just researched it throughout the years when I was a kid, but I never actually thought I would actually find any type of proof, right? Well, later on, when my first encounter happened, I was maybe 14, 15. I was playing with my friends. We were out in the woods just playing. These were like a small patch of woods right behind where we lived, right? And we were playing like, shooting each other with BB guns and, kind of like playing hunter or whatever, right? And playing hide and go seek and all that. And one time, we were out there, and I was hiding so good. I went so far in the woods that they never found me. Right. So when I started, like wondering why nobody was coming to get me, right, or trying to find me. So I'm like, I wonder if I'm too far. Let me move in a little bit. Well, I heard noises behind me, and that's what I call my first. I believe it's a Bigfoot encounter, because behind me I started hearing branches, crackling behind me, breaking, footsteps, and then I got this pungent odor that came to me like a dead dog with wet dog with blood with like basically shit, right? So I'm like, what the hell is that smell? Like, man, I don't remember seeing a dead dog when I first came back here to hide. So I'm like, okay, I just brushed it off. It must be some dead raccoon or something around the area that I didn't smell before. I was like, whatever. And then I started hearing the leaves like rustling behind me again. I was like, holy shit! And I turn around, look, nothing there. I turn around, see trees, branches, everything, nothing. So I'm like, what the hell is that? So I didn't know what that was back then, James. I did not know. I had no idea what it was. I thought it was one of my friends. I said, okay, man, who is it? Y'all found me. Okay. Y'all found me. Y'all got me, right? And nobody would answer me back. Like, yeah, I got you, whatever, nothing. I was like, what? It was just quiet. And I was like, what the hell? And it was just eerie quiet too, like real silent quiet. Like there was no birds, no nothing. It was just quiet. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, man, I started getting like the goosebumps, right? And I said, man, I better go back in and because it's not feeling right? And so I went back in, towards the house, got to the place where we all met up. Everybody was right there in the front porch. And I'm like, hey man, who found me, man? About maybe 5 minutes ago. They're like, dude, what are you talking about? I was like, yeah, man, somebody found me 5 minutes ago, but I couldn't see who it was. And they were like, nah, dude, we've been sitting here for about 15, 20 minutes already, bro. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, what? Are you serious? They're like, yeah. I was like, holy crap. I heard something behind me. Like, oh, shit, you better watch out. They would make fun of me, like, oh, the kukui or the devil, whatever, right? But they had, and I didn't have any idea what a cryptid was, right? And of course, we grew up thinking they were, fake. They were just, Hollywood figures, right? And everybody said, no, Bigfoot ain't real. Werewolves ain't real. Vampires ain't real. None of that. Everything's just Hollywood made up stories. So that's what we passed it off as. And I had no idea until now that I know what I know. I'm like, you know what? That had to have been a Bigfoot, encounter. And I say Bigfoot because I think if it would have been a Dogman, it would have snatched me because I was just a teen, I would have been easy. I would have been an easy snatch, but it wasn't. So, and now that I know the behavior out of all these years that I've researched, I know Dogman behavior, I know Bigfoot behavior, and to me, it seems more of a Bigfoot that was just curious, checking me out, and he got, at a real close, proximity to me, and didn't really want to startle me or scare me, so he didn't make himself, shown, right, where I couldn't see him. So that's what I think happened on that. And that was my first encounter. That's what got me all into this. But then I had 3 UFO encounters. One was in 93, one was in 2000, and one was in 2013. And those were with my first wife that those happened in. And oddly enough, 2 of them were in Mexico City, actually. And one of them was here in Texas where I live, right? Because I'm from Texas. And so they happened. I was like, holy crap. I seen them with my own 2. I was like, dude, I knew they were freaking real, right? I told everybody I knew they were real. First one was with my ex, my baby mama. And this was broad daylight, right? It was broad daylight. We came out of a store in the center, like downtown Mexico City, which they call El Centro, right? Mm-hmm. And we came out of the store, and we saw a lot of people at the corner, like all gathered up, like bunched up, and we're like, what's going on over here? We thought maybe a clown or something, putting on a show or something. So we walked over there, and we were like, hey, what's going on? And we asked a couple of people, hey, what's going on? And then everybody was looking up, and I'm like, don't you see it? I'm like, what? See what? And I looked up, and I couldn't see anything. No, what do you see? He's like, yeah, man, look, right there. And he pointed at it. And see that silver thing right there just standing still? I'm like, oh, that's a balloon. You know, I'm like, no, that ain't nothing. That's a balloon. You know how the back of the balloons are like that chrome, right? That chrome color.
Right.
So I was saying like, no, man, that's a balloon, man. Don't. He's like, no, dude, I've been here for 15 minutes and it hasn't moved. A balloon would have disappeared by now. You know how balloons, they disappear when they go further up, further up, further up with the helium. And so I said, really? He's like, yeah, man. So we stayed there. Me and my ex-wife, we looked at it. We looked at it for about 10, 15 minutes and it never moved, bro. Same spot the whole time. And so we finally got bored and, you know, of looking at it, whatever. Well, actually, my wife did. She's like, let's go. I'm tired. I'm bored, whatever. Let's go. I said, all right. We went, caught a cab about maybe a block, 2 blocks away. Caught a cab and went back to, you know, where we were staying at with my family. And when we caught that cab, we jumped in the cab, and I looked back through the rearview mirror. I mean, not the rearview window, the rear window. And I could still see that thing from where I was like 2 blocks away. I could still see it. So it was that big where you can see it within I don't know, I'm going to say a good half a mile radius or something, right? And so that was the very first one. This broad daylight. Well, come to find out, next day on the news, we checked the news, and yeah, sure enough, there was UFOs all over the Mexico City. But it wasn't just one. It was a fleet. It was a fleet of 15 of them scattered throughout the city. I was like, wow. And I told my wife, I said, see, I told you. She's like, nah, I still don't believe none of that junk or whatever. I said, see, I told you they're real. She's like, nah. Well, she passed it off like she didn't really believe it or whatever. And so that was the first one, man. And then after that, in the year 2000, we were same thing, Mexico City with family. Me and my dad was drinking and smoking outside because we didn't really want to smoke inside the house. And this was nighttime. This was getting close to I'm gonna say 12 o'clock. You know, the New Year's Eve, whatever, because it was New Year's Eve. And we were outside, and my dad happened to turn around and look. He's like, "Look, son," and he pointed. Look at that. You see that? No, I turn around, look. I'm like, holy shit, is that what I think it is? He's like, yep, it is. I'm like, holy shit. So we saw this thing. It was right next to a radio tower. We saw this saucer type, you know, UFO. I'm going to say it was about maybe, I'm going to say about 50 feet in circumference, right? Round. About that. Maybe more, I don't know, depending on how far it was, because I kind of just guesstimated how far it was, which was like maybe 1 football field away from me, up in the air, and it was just sitting there, just hovering right next to the tower. So I was thinking, like, what could it be doing there? Maybe listening in to the, you know, to the radio frequency, the radio waves, because, you know, it was obviously, you know, everybody was making a ruckus because it was gonna be, you know, New Year's. And I said, wow. And I told my dad, you know what, let me go get the camera. Back then, you know, nobody had a real nice phone camera, right? And so I went and got the good camera. I can't remember what it was. I think it was a Nikon or something. So I went in, came back out. It didn't take but 2 minutes for me to run in there, go to my, my suitcase, take it out, and go outside ready. It was ready already to take pictures and everything. Went outside, and it was gone. Boom. Not even 2 minutes, it was gone. Where's the dad? He's like, he just left. Right before he came out, he just left. He stayed there for about a minute and then left. I was like, oh, man. So, yeah, that was the second time. But I seen it again. I seen it with my own 2 eyes. And then in 2013, this is when I saw the third one. And I haven't seen another one ever since. I hope I do. But I haven't. James, honestly, I haven't seen any after that. And the 2013 one was in Texas. I normally work in the refinery plants. And I was working a job where you get off like at 4, like a maintenance job, Monday through Friday. You know, you get off at 4:30, whatever. Uh-huh. And then me and my coworkers, we were in the back of a pickup truck because, you know, that's how we got around. And it was like maybe, I don't know, about 4 or 5 of us back there, and then, you know, 2 or 3 up in the front seat. It was a single cab, and we were just, you know, bullshitting, you know, getting ready to go home, and we were happy the day was over, and we were like, yeah, I'm gonna go get a beer, yeah, I'm gonna go rent a movie or whatever, right? And one he just stopped in his tracks, and he said, and he was facing towards the back of the truck. I was facing towards the front of the truck, and he said, hey, look. And we all turned around and looked like real quick. He didn't have to say twice. He's like, look, what is that? And as soon as we turn around, we got a good glimpse of it. Like, I'm going to say about a second. And right after that, boom, shot off. It just shot off it. I don't know how fast. I'm probably Mach 20 or something, man, because it was hauling ass, dude. I've never seen anything move so fast. And that's the only one that I seen in movement. The first two, they were still. They were just hovering right there. They never moved. The first one in 93 and the one in 2000 in New Year's Eve. But the one in 2000, that was at night, and I saw lights going around it. Just like in the movie, what is it called? Encounters of the Third Kind. Just that's like that. Bro. Yeah.
Why do you think you saw him so many times?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if anybody else has seen him that many times, but I saw him 3 times, and I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna see him again. I have no doubt in my mind I'm gonna see him again, bro. And
that's that's scary, man. I don't think that's one thing I don't need to see in my lifetime. Honestly, I don't. Let me circle back to a couple of things.
Yeah, sure.
I've talked to 2 people who said they've encountered El Kukui, right? And this is what I've been told El Kukui is. Right. I've been told that it is a person that is similar to a werewolf, but they don't convert into a wolf. Their eyes will be wolf-like, their teeth will be wolf-like, they have claws, but when you see them, their body will still be human-like, but they will move like a wolf moves. The person who told me about that, is that right according to the legend from when you're growing up and in your culture? Now Castro is typically a Spanish last name. What's your background? Is it Cuban, Spanish? What is it?
No, it's Spanish. It's mostly Spanish. Yes, I've heard it with Cuban, obviously Fidel Castro, right? But yeah, it's very common within the Cuban race. But yeah, it is Spaniard, and it was my grandpa's last name. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So educate me a little bit about that from the Spanish perspective, because I want to make sure when I talk about these things I'm right, and I got an opportunity with somebody who might be able to educate me on it. Then we'll dip in the Dogman, because it leads directly into Dogman.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Sure, man. Well, that name goes back to Spain, right? And that last name, and from what I know, like, let me how can I say it? From the folklore, let's say the Mexican folklore, right? I'm not going to speak for all the Latin, countries, but the Mexican. Okay. There is folklore of a werewolf type creature, and I've never said this before, James. So this is the first time me saying this, and that I believe has some type of relationship with either a werewolf or a dogman, right? And they call it basically, it's a devil dog. Okay, it's the devil manifesting itself in a black dog with either 2 heads or 3 heads or whatever, because people say differently, right? But they all have red eyes, bro. They got huge fangs, and they walk on all 4s. I've never heard it walk on 2 legs, never. But in the Mexican folklore, there's that creature, and this is really crazy. The way they call it is the old dialect. Mexican dialect, which is damn it, I can't remember the name right now. I'll get back with you on that, but it's called Nahuatl. It's hard to say. It's like
Nahuatl.
Yeah, Nahuatl. Yeah.
With an L, is that an L at the end?
Yeah, that's an L.
Okay, got
it. Yes, that's an L, exactly. And in so it's from ancient times. They seen them before, like the Aztecs and all them that spoke that language, right? That's where it comes from, the word Nahuatl, which means devil dog in that language. And that I can't remember what the I should have wrote this down before we did the thing, because I can't remember right now.
You would have known I was going to ask that question. It's all good. Don't worry about it. We just having a conversation, baby. You ain't got to know everything.
But I hate not to remember.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that in like in the Mexican folklore, that's what and some people even call that the Kukui, because Kukui is basically the devil, It doesn't matter on what form or it manifests in. It's the devil basically. So
Okay.
it can manifest like in a creature, bipedal creature with big fangs and kind of look like a Dracula, or whatever, like a vampire, or it can come in as a dog, a devil dog, right, with red eyes and big fangs, and that's where the word kukui originates from, which is the devil. But the Nahuatl is just a sub branch from that, which is the devil dog, and I relate that to Werewolf of Dogman,
I
because
got you.
there's been
So
many
El
many
Cucuy is
stories.
like a bucket that anything can be dumped in. It could be a dog, man, werewolf. So if somebody
Yes.
sees something that's weird and crazy, I'm like, oh no, that's El Cucuy. Like if
Yeah.
it's a vampire, no, dude, I saw El Cucuy, and they'll describe
Yep.
it as okay, I got you.
Yep.
All right, so that makes sense now because I understanding the terminology is just a different terminology, and I really wanted to know. So thank you,
Right.
man. You taught me on something on that.
Yeah.
So let's get into Dogman, man. You're a Dogman researcher, and you've been
Yes.
researching it for years.
Yes.
What's your opinion on Dogman? I know you believe it exists. So, what's
Yes.
your opinion on the origins of Dogman? I would love to hear it.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, well, I think after all the years, because I used to think it was only like folklore and just European legends. There was no such thing. That's how I started. Actually, that's how a lot of people start. They start trying to debunk it, and then they actually start believing it because they find more proof that they are real than that they're not, right. So I used to think it was just European folklore. Back in the 1700s, we read all the books. I'm sure everybody's read all the books about lycanthropy, being a European, originated in Europe, right? And, eating children and eating man, those books, those old books, right? And a lot of people say that they come from Europe, right? And they made it to the Americas either by boat or whatever. But I think there's multiple options on where they came from, because how a lot of people they argue that no, it's only flesh and blood, and there's other people that say no, it's paranormal. It's not only flesh and blood; it's paranormal. Well, I think it's both. I think it's both. Flesh and blood and paranormal and something else too, from another realm, from another planet, from another universe, which people say the third. Okay, so the first one says is that they're flesh and blood, right? That they've been here for thousands and thousands of years. Our ancestors knew about them. You got the natives, that they talk about them, right? And then you have the supernatural or paranormal, which a lot of people say that that they can't die even if you shoot them. They don't bleed, and all this, and they got like superpowers, right? And they can even cloak, right, where they can disappear at will. But I don't think as much as superpowers to disappear at will. I think it might be the third option, which is they're from another realm. Right. So, and I've heard this before out of many people that I've interviewed. One told me that they actually have portals in the trees. So whenever you see a Bigfoot or a Dogman disappear out of nowhere, it's because it walked into a portal in a tree or right next to a tree. And that makes sense because a lot of people say that they see them and then next thing they're gone. Like they didn't see him run down the hill. They didn't see him run far off or anything like that. They just, boom, disappeared. So I'm thinking that third one, I believe in all three. Now, the third one, a lot of people say that they're like, alien pets, that the aliens come down to Earth and drop them off, because there's been many encounters that people told that they've seen, a UFO either before or after their Bigfoot or Dogman encounter. I don't know if you ever heard that, James. Pretty sure you have.
Oh no, I've heard it. Definitely heard it. I've
Yeah.
absolutely heard it.
So that's why I think, it could be either. I'm kind of like all three, because the ones that are from this earth, been here for thousands of years and all that, I think they're underneath the ground. I think they're subterranean. I think they live in cave systems and tunnels that they go down to inner earth. That's a whole nother rabbit hole. Whenever you want to talk about that inner earth, but yeah, they say there's a like a world underneath our feet, just like ours, but it's inner Earth, whatever. So I think there's tunnel systems that they go down in there and they dwell in there, and they only come out to feed or mate or teach their young to hunt, right? So that's the first one. They've been here for thousands of years, and they're from here. They don't come with the UFO. They don't appear out of nowhere with a portal, or anything like that. That's what that belief is. And the second one is, the where they come through portals and they got superpowers and they disappear at will. Some people say they turn into orbs and they just float off as an orb. That's why they see orbs out in the forest a lot. I've heard a lot. I've interviewed a lot of people where they say they relate the orbs to either Bigfoot or Dogman, which is what I'm saying, that's how they disappear. They turn into orbs and they just float off. I saw a picture that it was an orb, and if you zoom it in really, really good, you could see a Bigfoot face in there, bro. Like there was a Bigfoot inside that orb. I was like, wow. And I didn't see that till somebody pointed it out to me. I posted the picture, but I didn't look at the orb that close. And yes, it looked just like a Bigfoot face inside of that. And besides that, I saw another picture where there was this like drop of water, perfectly circle, which was pretty much they were calling it a what I say, like a gateway, like a portal, and it looked just like a drop of water, perfectly set round, and it looked like there was a Bigfoot standing inside of it too. So I'm like, wow. So there is such things as these orbs and these portals that people are seeing Bigfoot inside, and that's how they step in and out of our realm. I don't know if you heard that,
No, I'm
James.
very familiar with it. It's
Mm-hmm.
there's so many aspects and elements to when we start talking about Dogman that
Mm-hmm.
in time over the years of me being in this field, it kind of started off where there was a narrative, and you gotta understand these things play out in narratives, right? So
Right.
when I first came in, the narrative was that Dogman was all flesh and blood, right? I started talking
Right.
to witnesses, taking phone calls, and immediately I started hearing people saying, "Well, man, I had something in my house that's a dog man." I'm like, "That's not possible because it's supposed to be flesh and blood." And they live
Right.
inside of a city. And I'm like, "That's not possible." Well, I'm gonna tell you what, my husband and I saw when we woke up in the middle of the night. And I'm like, "Okay." And I talked to the husband, and the husband's like, "Nah, she's not lying. That's what we saw." I'm like, "Okay,
Wow.
what were you guys doing at that point in time, and what was going on?" And then I started getting into the spiritual aspects of it. And I said, "Okay, there's something spiritual to this, right?"
Right.
Then out in the field with the field research, when Vault was out in the field, he gave it was a lot of stuff that we learned from him being out in the field as a field investigator,
Mm-hmm.
because there were things that were going on that didn't make sense. And so, for example, he would be in the field. I'm on the phone with him. He goes into the bushes, and this is before he had the camera on his back and on his chest. He would go out into the field and he would say, "Man, there's something right here in front of me." Right? And
Right.
then he was like, "Wait, it's over here on now. It's over here on my right hand side." And then he's like, "Hold on, I got to get out of here because they're hurting me. They're moving me back. They're moving me back. They're moving me back." Now behind the scenes, he and I would sit down and talk, and I would go through and question him. "All right, bro, walk me through what you saw." And he's like, "Okay,
Right.
this is what I saw. I saw I saw a giant freaking head right here in front of the bush, and then over here I saw something way more massive, and then both of them started pushing me in this direction, which was towards my only way out of there." And so then he would go back in the daytime, and then he would show me. This is behind the scenes where nobody saw it. He'd go back in the daytime. He'll show me the spot. He'll show me the other spot. You'll see the leaf litter where it was moved. So there was clearly this physical presence to these creatures being out there. But then there was these things that we saw where we saw these orbs of light live on the Dogman Cam's cameras. It would just be orbs of light moving back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, I thought it was an eyeball that was eye shine, but it turned out the more and more I looked into other videos, that wasn't an eye, that was an orb because it would be in certain places just sitting there. It would be moving back and forth, moving around.
Right.
And then it would be on the right hand side of the camera. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Then it would be on the left hand side of the camera, and people were watching this thing. And so then I started talking to witness after witness after witness, that talk about their disappearing. And so whether they're going into a tree or whether they're walking into a portal, it's definitely something interdimensional, is what I'm saying.
Right.
And when we start talking about interdimensional, then I mean, to me, that's alien in itself. Anything that's alien would be interdimensional. It's coming from another dimension, or it's hidden from our eyesight, which pretty much makes it an other dimension of ours. So, yeah, I agree
Right.
with you totally. And I've gotten to the point, Carlito, where I've classified like sightings in like different formats. Like there's
Hmm.
a passerby sighting where you're there, you pass by, you see it, it's a
You see
split
it.
second sighting. And
Right.
then there's a real encounter where you're there, you see it, you smell it, it's within reach and range of you. You have an
Right.
interaction with it, whether it be growling and looking at you and moving you around. And then there's
Right.
those horrific encounters where you have an encounter with it and it's there and it's sustained and it comes back again and again, like my friend Connor
Right.
in Virginia. Like
Right.
Connor has stuff that happens all the time. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? The
Yeah.
severity of it is not always the same, but he's
Hmm.
on edge all the time. He knows, hold on, bro. I need to be on my P's and Q's because there's something out here. So let's go into this. What's
Yeah.
your thoughts on the ability to kill them? Can they be killed, in your opinion?
Yes, I do believe they can, because even if, like I mentioned before, if they're flesh and blood, of course you can kill them. If they're paranormal, maybe not. If they're from another realm, or another universe or whatever, then we don't know. But what I think is that if they're paranormal, right? Because I've heard that they manifest themselves and even like cloak
Hey,
halfway,
happy
like
Monday,
half their
everybody.
body apparition and half of the body's gone. I don't know if you've heard this before. The cloaking, kind of like the Predator, right?
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Okay, so then how would you be able to kill the predator? You can't. If it goes invisible, you can't. You can't shoot it. Well, first of all, you can't see it, and even if you know where it's standing and then you shoot it, how is it going to kill it when it's not in our physical realm, right? But what I think is that you can kill it, but either it has to be here in flesh and blood while it's here, even if it goes through a portal, whatever. You can't kill it. Now, I'm not going to say they're easy to kill, by no means, no, because I've heard many, many encounters that they're very hard to kill. But I think there is a way to kill them, and I've heard many, many possibilities of killing them, which is in the head and a headshot, in the heart also, and which would make sense. It's like if you ask a hunter, well, how can you kill a bison, right? Is it easy to kill? No, it's not easy to kill. But if you shoot it in the right place, then you will be able to kill it. If you shoot it in the heart, or if you shoot it right, in between the eyes or something, where it goes straight in the brain and disactivates everything, because the brain is the motor. So I think there is a way to kill, and I think it is possible, but it's just very hard. That's my take on that, James.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. I know
Hmm.
of people who killed them. I know of people, but the people who killed them, it wasn't very easy for them to do. It wasn't
Right.
one shot. It wasn't a heart shot. That didn't work at all. It wasn't a chest shot. It was extremely hard for them to do that, and it was something that they had to injure it first, and then they had to pursue it to kill it. And even in
Right.
that process, it was horrific for them. And the only reason why they did that is because it was so aggressive, and the behavior of this one was so out of bounds. They're known to be aggressive, but I still haven't figured out why it behaved this way. And I don't think they're telling me the truth about everything as to why it played out that way. And I'm waiting on them to get to the point where, oh my goodness, bro, my shoulder is hurting ridiculously.
Oh man.
I'm waiting for them to get to the point to where they want to tell me the whole truth before I tell their story. Because you know
Right.
how you could talk to someone, you've talked to witnesses. You know how you could
Yes.
talk to a witness and the story starts to add up.
Yeah.
And then you get to a spot where it's like, wait, you left something out. It's
Right.
like, what are you leaving out? And so I would say,
Hmm.
hey, man, I feel like you're leaving something out of the story intentionally. What
Hmm.
happened right here? And they would repeat the same thing. And then I would loop them
Right.
and come back and go to that spot, and they would repeat the same thing. But my gut is like, nah, you're not telling me everything, because
Everything.
the
Yeah.
behavioral pattern that this animal is exhibiting
Hmm.
is it's retribution. It's you did this to me, and I'm coming back to do something to you. It's not like, oh, we had it out. I proved my dominance, and then I'm moving on. It's like, nah, I gotta. It's making a point to you by the behavior pattern that it has. So,
Right.
I'm saying I just say, yeah, they can be killed, but
Right.
it takes a lot, bro. It takes a
Now,
lot.
now let me bring something up, James. Man, I have to put this in there, brother, because I love, and that's my absolute all time favorite Dogman story of all time, of all the channels, of all. I mean, just everybody, dude. Lockett, Siege of Lockett Ranch, brother.
Yeah,
That's my all-time favorite, brother. Honestly, and I'm not just saying that because it's you, but I wanted to put that out there because I'm talking to you. I wanted to tell you face to face, like that is my ultimate all-time favorite, right? So, that being said, that what do you think about that story where they were shooting at these things all night from nighttime till about 6, 7 in the morning, and they finally killed them all or killed as much as they could? Do you how much of that do you believe to be true?
oh, I know all of it to be true. Like there's
Yeah.
been recently, there's been people trying to cast doubt on it,
Mm-hmm.
and I've told people what I went through to get that story. Like I
Mm-hmm.
found myself in an environment where, if it wasn't for Skip and it wasn't for David Dunbar, those people would have never spoken to me about that
Okay.
encounter. And
Wow.
I sit down with the family and talked about the encounter. This is something that's known throughout their family, and I had multiple witnesses, not witnesses, but multiple people who this
Mm-hmm.
information was shared with throughout the family, expressing those things to me. And so
Mm-hmm.
that was the reason why that story is so prolific, is because I had more than one person validating. Yeah, I remember when he told me about this. Yeah, I remember this. Though this was this. This was the. And it's a whole family sitting at a table telling me the story. And
Mm-hmm.
then there's one person leading telling the story. And they're all contributing to the different parts and pieces. And if you remember when I was doing that, it didn't like looking back on it, people will find the like full 1 hour, 1.5 hour story. But it was
Yeah.
part one,
Right.
and then it was part two, and then it was
Right.
part three. Because when part one came out, it was like, okay, you guys listen to this and make sure I'm on point.
Right.
Yeah, but this is wrong. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, no, I thought you said this. No, 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 we said this. Okay, cool, fine.
Mm-hmm.
Let me fix that. Boom. Then part two.
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
Right.
Then part three. So
Yeah.
it's definitely 100% true story. It's one of the most.
Wow.
It was. I think I have done better work than that now, but people still look back on it. Like even right now, the one I'm in the middle of, 46 years of Dog Man. Man, these
Mm-hmm.
people, the stuff that these people are sharing with me is so horrific. In my opinion, it makes Siege of Lager Ranch look like a walk in the park. But when
Wow.
people listen to it, they're like, "Nah, we love this." I'm like, "Bro," and I haven't gotten through it all, because I'm still going back and forth and making sure I get all the pieces of the puzzle, and I double and triple check and all the rest of this. Because for whatever reason, people like to try and cast doubt on my name, like I'm just sitting here making this stuff up. But so I go through triple check everything and talk to the people, and
Wow.
I'm looping and looping, bro. It's like having a
Yeah.
conversation where a person asks you a question 32 times in 32 different ways to
Right.
make sure
Right.
that you're not lying to me. And
Right.
that takes
Exactly.
hours and days to do that, bro.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yes, that's one of the many stories, bro. That
Man, well, I just wanted to add a little bit to that before we continue to our next section or segment. I just
uh,
wanted to add a little bit to that. That man, that story right there blew me away, bro. Blew me away when I first heard it. The complete one for an hour and 45 minutes or whatever. And yeah, I've seen that you recently revised them and made it into 3 parts. I've seen that, and your explanation on why. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. But I like the first story, even better, right? So I was always wondering. I'm like, man, I wonder how much of that is real. I wonder if it's real. I wonder if it's partly real. I wonder if it's completely real, right? The whole thing, right? So now that
right.
you just told me, so I'm like, wow, man, I was always, astonished by that story, and even thought, like, man, why doesn't Dark Waters make that into like a short movie, man? That would have been awesome, dude. Like, if you can make that into a movie, and my other favorite ones that I have, if you can add them on there, like the Train to Nowhere. Oh man, that's like your. Holy crap, man! When I heard that, I was like, "Holy shit!" I was just blown away, man. So I have favorites, right? I have my Dark Water favorites. Okay, Siege of Lockett Ranch. I have Train to Nowhere.
Uh
I
huh.
have I have the one with Skip where he left you in the truck and where you went to Taylor, Mississippi.
Yeah, that was some fuckboy shit right there.
Yes,
I
I
ain't gonna
know.
hold you. I ain't gonna.
I know. And I have the last one is the one where you went to Dogman Island. That one. Oh man, dude. Those are my favorites right there. My dark water favorites of all time right there. Man, I got to tell you, brother. I mean, if you can make those into like short movies, oh man, I bet you'd make a killing with that.
Well, I need to be in a certain position to do it. I've had people who offered. I had people. I would have people come to me and be like, "Well, we want to turn this into a movie script." I think I've had
Yeah.
5 people want to turn them into movie scripts,
Really?
and
Wow.
yeah, at Siege Locker Ranch alone, it was 5 people. There was 2 people that wanted to do the comic book. I did the comic book myself. There
Mm-hmm.
was there was one person that said they just wanted to buy the rights to everything, and they put a number on the table, and it was a nice number. But I was like, you know what, my man? I said I need you to put some more zeros on that number, and I'll give you the rights to that and a whole bunch of other stuff that's here that nobody knows about.
Right.
And I think I was over his budget because that was gonna be somebody buying me out. I was gonna go because I was like, you pay this number, bro. You can have all this, and I will
Right.
sit down and I will go through you, and I will give you the witnesses. I will give you everything, and I was just gonna
Wow.
disappear. But he didn't want to put
Right.
them zeros on there. It'd have been
Oh,
like one
okay.
day Dark Waters here, the next day Dark Waters are gone. Boom.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Yeah.
done. That number I would have happily went away for and went and did something else. Um, Getting back to Dogman, man, I've been looking
Yeah.
at. So if you've been following my channel,
Mm-hmm.
people been complaining. Well, why are you posting all these videos with these eye shines? It's
Mm-hmm.
because in conversations, bro, I
Mm-hmm.
come to a realization that a lot of the arguments about pictures and photos and evidence is because there's no real standardized photographic evidence for people to go off of, right? And
Right.
so I've been experimenting. It's really been experimenting with eye shines, right? Trying to figure
Mm-hmm.
out distances from eye to eye,
Right.
using Blue's photo as kind
Mm-hmm.
of a baseline. I know that's without a doubt one of the best Dogman photos there is, and that's real Dogman, the one out of Fort Pierce
Yes.
where you see the snout,
Yes.
you see the eye, you see the ear, you see
Mm-hmm.
it all, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to do comparisons, and bro, as I dig through TikTok and all these different places,
Mm-hmm.
Carlito, I found out something. I figured out something. There are people who capture evidence. They have no clue what they're looking at, but when I look at them, like, yo, that's a dog man.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't
I've,
have
I've
no
said
clue
that.
what the hell they
Yeah.
looking at. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
I've done that on TikTok. Yeah. I said that's a dog man. You don't know, but that's what a dog man is.
And
And
so
they're like,
I've
what
been
the hell?
going back and trying to find and validate, and also and then cross out the list some of the things that, and it's all about me evolving my beliefs and my understanding of the subject, based
Right.
on the evidence that's out there. Because in this field, you will hear people say stuff like, "There's no evidence of this, right? There's no evidence of dog man. There's no evidence of this. There's no evidence of that." And then when you
Right.
start rolling out the evidence to them, Carlito, then they
Mm-hmm.
say, "Oh, you just stole somebody else's. You just stealing people's videos." No,
Right.
B.
Right.
I don't want to curse again, but no, B. You said you wanted evidence. So here we go.
Mm-hmm.
I went and found evidence, and I'm comparing it to known things that we know in this community. This is from an outside source that's not on YouTube, but these outside sources are posting things that fall in line with all of our beliefs and what we have. And you so stupid. You sitting here saying you stealing somebody's video. I thought you wanted the evidence, and
Right.
I think it's crazy because if you want evidence, it don't matter where the evidence came from, right?
Right.
What matters is the standard which you judge the evidence by. And if you judge that evidence by a standard, now all of a sudden you can compare something and there's no emotional attachment to the yes or no. So, for example, you've heard about pareidolia, right? Where everybody posts
Yes.
these photos and they
Mm-hmm.
put these circles and they be like, "That's a
Yep.
dog man right there." I'm like, nah, bro, I don't see no dog man right there. Well, if
Right.
everybody knows what the hell a dog man looks like, and there's a
Right.
fundamental agreement on what a dog man looks like, a
Mm-hmm.
front view that's transposed to a side view. And I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna pay somebody to take that same photo and transpose it and finish the drawing and say, okay, if this is the front view, draw me a side view. And now, bro, if you have a standard, all this arguing over pictures with nothing there, it goes away. Because you say, listen, you got a
Right.
picture. We don't see nothing compared to this. This is what we're looking for to say this is very good evidence of Dog Man. If
Right.
you don't have anything close to this, my friend, then you don't really have any evidence. And that just kills the conversation and the arguments, in my opinion, because there's a standard. Same thing with Bigfoot. There's the Patty film, and
Right.
that's a gold standard in evidence. So when you see something that looks like Patty, you're like, nah, that's a freaking Bigfoot. But we don't have that in the Dogman community yet because
Right.
nobody holds a standard. It's really like the wild, wild west in the Dogman community, and that's what
Yes.
causes all of the problems. Now, I was saying that to talk about eye shine. Let's go into eye shine, man, because I've seen fiery red eye shine that I believe, like glowing red eye shine that I believe is Dogman. I've
Right.
seen greenish white eye shine or greenish eye shine, which I believe is Dogman. And I've seen that amber orangish eye shine, but on camera it kind of shows up as a greenish white or a whitish eye shine. It doesn't show up as that dark deep red. It shows up as like a yellowish white eye shine.
Right.
What's your thoughts on the eye shine and what type of dog man it is? Like, and by type, I don't mean that type that came out where they had the drawing. I mean, by type, I mean the the aggressive nature of them. The eye shine to me is correlated to the behavior pattern, not necessarily look. For
Yes.
example, that flame. Well, I'm gonna let you finish that. What's your thoughts on the eye shine colors compared
Okay.
to the behavior pattern?
Okay, so as far for what I've researched and studied on Dogman behavior and traits like this, what you're talking about, the eye shine, I've heard that they can change their color of their eyes depending on their mood. So, like, let's say if they're really aggressive or really agitated or even angry, they turn into red. Whereas if they're really not feeling threatened in any way, they can either be blue or green. I've heard of blue or green eyes, and I'm like, wow, I can't imagine blue or green eyes on a dog man, right? I can imagine yellow, I can imagine amber, So I think like the normal tone would be like amber, right, or yellow amber, yellow amberish, whatever. And their aggressive tone would be the red, obviously, and the benevolent or completely relaxed would be the blue eye color and the green, because Bettina Moss said when she saw one, it had blue eyes. I'm like, how the hell does a dogman have blue eyes? So I think it didn't feel threatened whatsoever with her, because maybe her demeanor, her behavior when she saw it, and she kind of just like accepted it, like, oh wow, she was in the car looking straight at it. She went into the car to go get something, I think, and this was nighttime. Turned the lights on, and boom, it was right there, right next to the wood line, but it was standing right in front of the wood line. So she was like, what the hell? And she looked at it. It was that close. I don't know. I'm going to say maybe 20, 30 feet. I think maybe 30 feet or so. And she mentioned that it had blue eyes. I was like, that's like one, not the first time, but one of the first times that I heard that it had blue eyes. I was like, wow, blue eyes. And this was like maybe 3 years ago or something when I first heard, 3 or 4 years ago when I heard the blue eyes. But mostly, as I'm sure mostly every encounter describes as yellowish amber eyes. Everybody says it's yellow amberish. But red fire is very few accounts where they say it was red, like fire red, glowing eyes. They either say it's yellowish amber glowing eyes or just yellowish amber, but never red or glowing red, like you just mentioned.
Right. Well, there's definitely self-illuminating, glowing red eyes that they
Yeah.
have. There's a couple of things. So blue eyes and ice blue, there's two different things. So there's blue eyes that I've heard about. I've even talked to people that I've verified. These people ain't lying with purple eyes shine.
Right.
Those are some of the things I don't really get into publicly because what I've experienced is when I kind of talk about stuff publicly, it takes on a life of its own. And next thing I know, people are talking about it like it was something that they interviewed a witness on. So I just don't do it. But ice blue eye shine being some of the ERT teams, which is emergency response teams that deal with them, and their night vision, and then uh, the the concept of the glowing red eyes. My thought on that is that it goes back to the concept of them being empty vessels, and
Right.
excuse me, and something having the ability to possess an empty vessel, meaning they can be possessed, and based on that ability to be possessed, that eye shine may change. So
Okay.
think about it like this: if it's an animal or if it's a creature that has no soul and it can be possessed by a demonic spirit, then anything that would inhabit it would have control over it physically, and have a oh my goodness, and have control over it physically and in the multiple other ways. And
Right.
so, who's this calling me? And so, I think when we start getting to eye shine, there are other things that we have to bring into consideration or take into consideration as it pertains to that. More, and to go a little bit deeper than that. I don't know if I want to go any deeper than that. I think I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna leave that at that because
Okay.
again, I don't want people be jacking me, bro. You
Oh
see,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
ain't trying to be giving up the ghost like that to people for them to be out here carjacking, kidnapping information that they just didn't get. All I'm gonna say is the eye shine has there's various reasons for those different colors of eye shine. Um, there's a number of reasons for it, and if anybody who wants to know, I'll release some of that stuff in story format. But there's a hell of a lot of reasons for the different color eye shines.
Right.
But
So
if we
so
get
basically, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So basically, you're saying it depends on the dog man and the mood it's in, and
no,
if it's possessed or not,
I'm saying
or
an empty vessel can be possessed and occupied,
right.
and if the eye color changes based on that occupation.
Right. Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Because people see it with Bigfoots. Nobody really talks about Bigfoot eye shine. Like they talk about the green eye shine on Bigfoot, but if you talk to a Bigfoot eyewitness, you'll find that there's a angry Bigfoot that's eyes are red, and they
Yes.
see it.
Yes.
And but there's other Bigfoot whose eyes are green. But when you start talking about moods, I believe in Jesus. I'm a Christian, and I know that so many people's mood changes are due to spiritual influences, and it's due
Right.
to spirits. And so, if we're open to spirits, and we are made of God, and we have a soul, what about a soulless being that's there? What can go on with them? A being that has no soul. What can occupy that being at any point in time, at will? You
Right.
see what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right.
it's one of
Right.
those things that that's just going way deep. That's going way deeper
Yeah.
than I want to go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's going
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
deeper than I want to go.
Yeah. I
But
know what
buddy,
you
we're
mean.
running out of time here. We're up on the bottom, about to come up on the hour, and I want to give you enough time to talk about, because we're
Yeah.
supposed to talk about some of the
Yeah.
encounters with your guests, but I want to give you enough time to
Yes.
talk about your
Yes.
channel so we can promote it. Tell everybody where to go so they can subscribe to your channel.
Okay, yeah, man, thank you. Yeah, y'all can find me at Cryptid and Paranormal Kingdom on YouTube, and you can find me on in my group in Facebook as well, same name, Cryptid and Paranormal Kingdom, and also Instagram, Cryptid and Paranormal Kingdom with all lower cases in between. So it's Cryptid lowercase, Paranormal lowercase, Kingdom. Yeah, like that. But yeah, yeah, I did want to talk real quick, if you let me, James, about the Dogman encounter, which is like my most prized Dogman encounter interviewee. If I could, if I may, is that okay?
Yeah, we got a few more minutes. Go ahead. Talk
Okay.
about it a little bit.
All right, cool. So the main one that I have, like my big go to, is the interview that I have is with my guest Todd. He's the actual eyewitness of these things, right? He had 4 Dogman encounters, and so like the biggest ones is I think the first one, and yeah, the first and the last one. Okay, so the first one was, he's a trucker, right? He was parked on the side. He was tired. He was driving late at night. He was tired, and he was on I think it was like a highway or freeway, something like that. Well, he was tired. He pulled over and wanted to get some sleep, right? But he pulled over just on the shoulder, which is, basically illegal for them to do. They need to find like a rest stop or something. So he pulled over. He couldn't take it anymore. He pulled over, try to go to sleep. Well, he was barely going on his, first stage sleeping, stage or whatever. And he was starting to get there when he felt his rig moved. The whole rig moved, like it rocked. The whole rig was rocked, and he was like, "Holy shit!" That startled him. And he got up. He's always carrying guns with him anywhere he goes. So he grabbed his gun and like, man, better not be somebody trying to steal my rig or something, right? Or break in my rig. Or it might be a cop. He's like, oh, it's probably a cop trying to tell me to, move from here. I'm not allowed to be, parked on the side of the, on the shoulder. So he walked up in between his, the back side of the rig to the front where you got the two seats in the front. Well, he got to the middle part of it. Like he hadn't even went to one seat or the other. He was in the middle. When he looked over, he felt like something staring at him. He said he looked over to his, passenger side window, and there it was, man. Outside his window, staring at him, was a I'm gonna say 10-foot big man, Dogman, because he said that it was that tall. It wasn't standing on top of his rig step. It was on the ground. He said it moved the whole thing, but it wasn't standing on. He said he saw it, and it wasn't standing on his footstep. It was all the way to the ground. So he said it's about 9 feet to that window, and he was covering that like easy. He said he must have been anywhere from 9 to 10 feet. I was like, wow. And he said he was just looking at him, and it was just like menacing look in his face, like kind of just like, man, like he even said like evil look on his eyes, on his face. And he said that scared the shit out of him. And then so what he did, he's like, holy man, I'm not gonna stay here and, fuck around and find out, right? Like they say, like the saying goes. Well, he just, he turned on his rig on and boom, took off, man. He took off. He said he was scared as hell when he was shaking. He didn't stop till the next town, pulled over to a cafe and had to get like a coffee, and a cigarette to kind of, settle down. That was one of the biggest ones, that one right there, because he was like right there. He seen him right outside his window. And then he had other two that he seen him. He was driving as well, but he was driving and he just seen him like cross the road. And then the second one was just a regular one. The third one was a white one, believe it or not, a white Dogman. He said he saw it in between the bushes on the opposite side of the highway where he was driving. He saw it. He said, I saw it, man. He said, I saw it clear as day. And that was his second one. And his last one, the fourth one, that's the biggest one of them all. He was out, hunting on his grandfather's hunting grounds and land. And he was out hunting. He had his rifle with him. He had his side piece on his holster on his hip, and he was just kind of just walking the woods, and then looking for a good place to climb up on a tree and maybe get a good shot from somewhere. Well, he said he was walking down this little trail, and where you got brush, bushes on both sides, and it's just the trail's kind of open for you to walk through, whatever. He said it was like that, but he never heard anything, smelled anything, saw anything, nothing. He walked right past, and there was high brushes next to him. Well, he said when he walked right past this one spot, that he stopped and he felt something was right behind him. He said he stopped and he turned around to look, and as soon as he was turning around to look, he didn't even turn the whole way. He was just like maybe halfway, and he saw a hand just grab his shoulder and turn him around. I did say hand, grab his shoulder and turn him completely around to face him. He said it was a juvenile Dogman, because he was only like 6 foot, maybe 6.5 feet tall. But it was strong as hell, because this guy, the eyewitness, he's like 6'2", 6'4", tall dude, man, big dude. He's pretty husky. So he said, I'm not an easy, person to manhandle. You know what I'm saying? I'm 6'2", 6'4", and I weigh like 286 pounds or something like that. You know, and I'm like, damn, you're a big dude. You're a heavy dude. He's like, yeah. And it turned me around like nothing, like a toddler. I'm like, what? Yeah, man. His name is Todd. He's like my biggest go-to when I talk about Dogman to people that don't know about talking about Dogman, and even in certain places in interviews. Yeah, he said he turned him around and he looked at him and he was gonna reach for his gun, but something told him not to unholster his gun. Like he didn't, he was gonna, but like, nah, better not, man, because I don't know where this is gonna take me, right? And it might be dangerous for me to try to do this at such a close proximity. He was only 2-3 feet away from him, and he said that but this thing was muscular. I asked him how did it look. He said, dude, it looked jacked up, like Arnold Schwarzenegger jacked up, with black hair and scroggly, dirty hair, and he was just jacked up, dude. He said, man, this guy, if he would have wanted to take me down, he could have took me down like nothing, like a snack. He said, but he didn't. So there was a reason for that. He let me go. I was like, really? How's that? He said, yeah. Well, as soon as I, try to go for my gun, he said, I tried to unholster it, but I was like, no, better not. Well, I was just thinking about it, but I had my hand on there, and he said that the Dogman looked him straight in the eyes, and he went like, he shaked his head like saying no. Like, no, don't even think about doing it. He didn't say it, but, that's basically what he was trying to tell him, like shaking his head no. And then, so my buddy Todd, he said he took his hand away from the gun or whatever, and then what that Dogman did is that he pointed, like, tell him to go back the way he came. He pointed. He said, like, go back that way. And then this Todd just started walking backwards. The way he was coming, he had to go right back that way. So basically, he was telling him not to go any further from that point of the trail, because maybe, and this is what me and Todd been, talking, like, well, what was, what happened there? What happened? Did you see anything? Did you hear? No, he said no. I said, well, what do you think maybe might have been the reason for him to let you go and not hurt you and stop you and not let you go any further? And I said, you think it might have been there was pups around, there was a family, there was, he said it might have been. He said it might have been a little family, and there was pups around or something. He just didn't want me to go that way because, maybe he doesn't know how the pups would react to seeing me. I said, wow. So yeah, that was like the biggest one, that I've ever interviewed somebody. Name is Todd, yeah, and he's on my channel if anybody wants to look that up. It's,
all right, and again, give them the name of your channel before we go, so they can, so they'll know where to go listen to that story.
Yeah, sure, man. It's Cryptid and Paranormal Kingdom on YouTube. That's my YouTube channel. And if anybody wants to join my group on Facebook, it's called Cryptid and Paranormal Kingdom with Carlito and Tom.
All right, and how do they reach you if they want to submit an encounter to you?
Oh, okay. Normally, what I do is I talk to people over Messenger, Facebook Messenger. They can look for me, Carlito Castro, and just send me a. I do have a block, like, so nobody could just do it or whatever. I have to read it and accept it, right? But yeah, if anybody wants to, submit an encounter or just want to talk about anything, or maybe some advice on if they have some type of Dogman, happenings around their home or whatever. Oh, and this guy Todd, he still has them come around his house, and I asked him. I said, well, you think they followed you? He's like, they might have. So yeah, crazy, brother, crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro. All right, Carlito, we're gonna wrap it up, man. Ladies and gentlemen, man. It's been another interview by the one and only Dog Waters, and I've been here with my homie Carlito Castro. And
thank you, bro.
Check out his channel and subscribe, ladies and gentlemen, and we appreciate you listening.
Absolutely.